Hey y'all, what's up? It's Amanda and I am back with another video. So today's video is going to be my worst books of 2023. I have quite a few books to share with you. Most of them are just like my DNFs throughout the year. I DNF'd quite a lot of books this year. And then there's a couple 2 stars. And yeah, let's just get right on into the video. Start off with all of my DNFs this year because I have quite a few. I didn't put all of my DNFs from this year on this list because not all of them are because I thought the book was bad. Some of the DNFs from this year are because I just wasn't in the right headspace to be reading a story like that. Like for instance, I DNF'd The Blue Aside this year, which I know is kind of controversial, but I'm planning on getting back to it, so don't come for me. I just had to DNF it at the moment, and I'm gonna restart it once I decide to pick it up again. But yeah, so there's a couple on my DNF shelf that are like that I didn't hate. I just decided to come back to it at a later time. So the first book that I DNF'd that I hated this year was Scorched Grace by Margot Doehy. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name. It's the one about the nun who's like a crime-solving nun. And here's my review for why I DNF'd. I decided to DNF this book sadly because I didn't really care about what was happening, as well as there were some things that were said that turned me off to the book. I don't know if it was just how I interpreted these lines, but it put a bad taste in my mouth. That, coupled with the fact that the mystery did not seem very urgent or high stakes to me at all, made me decide to DNF. So basically what I was referring to this is just how religious it was, honestly. Like, that might be controversial because, like, obviously it's a nun solving crime, but I thought that was just going to be, like, a small part of the book. But no, it was a very large part of the book. And it sounded almost like propaganda-y. I didn't really like that. So I DNF'd, as well as because, like I said, the mystery didn't seem super high stakes. And I just was getting a bad vibe from the book. So I decided to DNF at like 15% or something like that. The next book that I DNF'd was Mame by Jessica George. I had a very up and down relationship with this book. I was enjoying it in the beginning, and then it slowly petered off for me, like my interest. It just, I've read, at the time, I read one too many books about a 20-something that's down on her luck and like struggling through life. And I'm kind of tired of that narrative. My review for this says, so for context, I had an update on my reading for Mame that was like, should I DNF? And then my official DNF review says, 5 minutes later, I've decided to DNF this book. I started reading reviews and it solidified it for me. This book is in the same vein as the book Queenie for me. A 20-something black woman down on her luck, and these 2 books just didn't do it for me. Oddly enough, the book Luster is very similar, but I absolutely love that book. I think it has to do with the writing style, TBH. The writing of Luster was so captivating, but Mame is just boring and it's not gripping me. Sorry, loves. So yeah, like, I do acknowledge that the book Luster was definitely a hit for me, but Mame, like, it was just so sad and depressing, and the writing style was like, oh, feel bad for this girl, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like horrible. So I decided to DNF. Next, I DNF'd Early Morning Riser. This is by Catherine Haney. This is a book, I don't even remember what it's about, to be honest, but it's about these like people in a town. And honestly, the reason why I DNF'd it is because I was listening to it in the car and I realized that I had started tuning out what was happening. Like, I wasn't actually paying attention and listening to what was happening. So I was like, oh geez, I gotta DNF this book because I'm just wasting my time. So yeah. The next book that I DNF'd that is on this list is Vona by Ottessa Moshfegh. This book really put a bad taste in my mouth for Otessa Moshfegh. Like, I get that her whole thing is like writing really controversial, not controversial, but like grotesque, polarizing books. I don't know if that makes sense. But this book was just so over the top, gruesome and gory and disgusting, disturbing that I just was not vibing with it. I couldn't stomach reading it. So I promptly DNF'd it. And the next book is At the Coffee Shop of Curiosities by Heather Weber. I actually received this as an ARC, so I am sorry to the publisher that I DNF'd this book. But also, I'm not sorry because it was not a good book. In my opinion, at least. I only got like 20% of the way through it, but let me just say that I fell asleep while reading this book, and that is never a good sign. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, it was just boring. It was not captivating enough for me. I didn't enjoy it. All in all, a DNF. The next book I DNF'd was Driven by Kay Bromberg, and my review is, yeah, I'm deciding to DNF this one. Sorry to my boyfriend. I know you got me this book originally, but the female main character fell for the main character in like 2 seconds. It was not believable to me. So this one, the main character heard the male main character hooking up with a girl, and she just like ran past. She was like, I am not going to engage. And she just like ran past them. She went to like some closet down the hall. Then she opens the door and runs into the male main character that was just hooking up with someone else. And she runs into him and she looks at him and then just like starts making out with him and starts getting really turned on. And I'm like, y'all don't even know each other's names. Like, not even the first name, not anything. You just heard him hooking up with someone else. And now you're like, ooh, Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome. I'm like, it's too insta-lovey for me. Like, it was just like immediately she was like, wow. And then like they started making out, and then the whole plot from there just kind of devolved from me. Like, I was just like, I'm not interested. So, DNF. And the last DNF that I have is for the book Didn't See That Coming by Jessie Q. Sotanto. I received an ARC for this. And I wrote in my review, I'm sorry, but I have to DNF this book. I was trying to hold out and see if the female main character Kiki gets to go on a date with Liam, but at this point it's not even worth it to see it through to the end. Kiki does not deserve Liam, in my opinion. She's so immature, self-centered, and has this attitude like she's the ultimate victim, which I hate. I do agree that her situation at school is not the greatest, but the way she blames her parents is unreasonable. Then the way she treats her parents is also horrific. She's just super immature, and also the book is overall really cringy and seems so unrealistic. I don't know, just overall not vibing with it. I gave it my best shot and read like 70% of it, but I can't bring myself to finish it. So yeah, ultimately it was just like, Kiki had some issues, girl. Like, she had some issues. She was lying to everybody, and then also she like really like disrespected her parents a lot. Which, like, I get as a teenager, like, that's, like, a thing that happens, but, like, she didn't have good reasoning, in my opinion, to, like, I don't think there is good reasoning to be doing that, but, like, I don't know. I don't know if that's just controversial for me to say, but I didn't like the way she treated her parents. She's very immature, and at the end of the day, I stopped rooting for her. I was just like, I don't even care to see you get with the love interest, okay? Okay, now I have 4 more books to share with you that I read the whole way through and decided these were not good. The first book I gave no rating. I decided not to rate it, actually, and this is The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. This was a book mainly about her losing her husband and like the grief that came with it and her finding herself again. And I was reading it at the time that I lost my grandma, and I was just like, I don't want to read a book about grief right now. But I decided to finish it anyways because it was a short book, and I think that ultimately I would appreciate it more at a different time, but at that time it just was not a good book to be reading. You know what I mean? The next 3 books I gave 2 stars. The first book is a graphic novel called Sourceline. I'll have the cover up here. Ultimately, this book felt very disjointed, and like the narrative did not follow like a very linear plot that made sense. And also there were like 4 different mysteries in the plot that are all related, but like I didn't understand how they were related. And I picked it up because I thought that the artistry and the actual like pictures in the graphic novel, they're beautiful, but the story was lacking. It just did not make sense, and I didn't care at the end of the day. Next is a book, another book, I guess, that my boyfriend got for me. So sorry, love, but this was not a good book. This book was called Nervous by Zane. I read this book. It's supposed to be like a dark romance, and basically the main character has multiple personality disorder, or I forget what they call it now, but in the book, which was written like almost 20 years ago, it is called like multiple personality disorder, and basically she has this other personality that is like very sexually charged and does all these like reckless things and gets the main character into trouble because she's so sexually promiscuous and like a risk taker and all this stuff. I just didn't like the narrative as well as like the writing style. It was very much lacking for me. I didn't care. I did think it was interesting enough to finish, but when I finished it, I was like, that's it? Like, that's all you have to share with me? Like, I don't. No. It just wasn't a book for me. It wasn't romantic. I didn't care about the main male love interest. Like, I just didn't care. And the last book that I have to share with y'all, it's actually a controversial one. I gave 2 stars to Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. I just read this like last week, okay? And ultimately, I didn't like the conflict that happened at the end of the book. I feel like it could have ended differently, or it could have gone a different way, because the main female main character is like so in denial about the fact that her best friend is in love with her, and it takes seeing a video of them interacting together for her to believe it. Like, she, in my opinion, she needed to go through some self-discovery, like working on her self-worth and her self-esteem and stuff like that, in order to finally accept the love that he was willing to give her. But no, all she did was see a video, and then she was like, I'm sold, I love him, like he loves me. And I'm just like, I don't like that. And then plus the whole plot with like the Christmas tree farm and whatever, and like the weird mystery that was happening, just finished up so quickly. I was like, that's it? It's just the person confesses. And I'm like, that's all you're gonna do? Just have the person confess? Like, that's so... I didn't like it. I did not like it. It made me mad at the end, which, like, I never get mad at the end of a book, but this made me mad. Those were my worst books of the year. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload. I don't upload on a strict schedule just yet, but hopefully in the new year I'll be able to get on a strict schedule. But until then, click that notification bell. I will have my socials linked in the description. I have Instagram, TikTok, a Threads account, which I just made, a Storygraph and Goodreads account, so add me on those 5 social medias and be my friend, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.